Alright, so House of the Dead 2 is the sequel that I have mentioned being on the wait for since buying House of the Dead 1, which I already reviewed on the channel. Was looking forward to experiencing it on my own after every single terrible piece of news and review that I've heard on it. Ended up being not as bad as all the reviews I've heard just because my expectations going into it were extremely low. But since I had bought this one first, I thought, well, I'm buying the second one, I'm a completionist, I'm kind of OCD, might as well get the first one. Anyways, we're talking about the second one. This one I heard from a review on YouTube from one of my favorite horror channels that this one is not related to the first one, and I also heard that it's much better, blending first of all horror comedy and second of all just being a better B film in general. Now, upon watching, this definitely is connected to the first film. There is a plot point that, you know, carries the first one over to this one. And is it a better film than the first one? Yeah, absolutely. Is it great? Well, it's a B film, so you gotta judge B films for what they are. There's fantastic ones, there's middle of the road ones, and there's unwatchable ones. This is above middle of the road, but not amazing, I would say. This I could definitely put above middle of the road for sure. So, there's not much to say about it plot-wise. I mean, as for story, basically it's about a brigade of soldiers. They're basically a wipeout team, and they work for this country. They work for this company called AMS, and AMS is the ones who sent them in. What AMS stands for, maybe it says at some point in the movie. I missed it. I tried to look it on Google and on Wikipedia, couldn't find a single thing. So AMS sends this wipeout brigade to a college or university to wipe out a horde of zombies that ended up reanimating because of this professor who was able to get a sample of the virus that was on the island from the previous film, which his son was at because he was attending that rave and whatnot. And him and his girlfriend, who had survived at the end of the film, he had gotten the virus from his girlfriend. And he had actually, the professor, I mean, had actually kept his girlfriend in captivity, trying to find an antidote for immortality and bringing the dead back to life so that people could live forever. Of course, his intentions wasn't to create zombies, but, you know, apparently he hasn't watched a single zombie film in his life, and that's what happens when you try to mess around with shit like immortality and reanimating the dead. You get zombies, usually. So that's about it plot-wise. The team is sent into the university to wipe out these zombies, and also retrieve a sample from patient 0, which is the girlfriend of the guy from the first movie, to hopefully find a cure for AMS. Or for AMS to hopefully find a cure, I should say. The film starts out with one of the most stupid, raunchy looking, like, it looks like the intro to a sex comedy, like one of those American Pie ripoffs or something like that, or some Van Wilder film. These guys are basically they're like a frat house, and they're going all military style, but with super soakers filled with beer, and then they invade like the girl dorm, and they start spraying down all the chicks with beer, and like they're all partying and shit. You get tits right away in the first like minute and a half, if that. Sid Haig plays the professor. It's always great seeing Sid Haig in anything. Unfortunately, he doesn't last very long. He is basically reanimating a young girl at the beginning of the film who you see full frontal naked, by the way, full beaver shot on her. And he, well, he ends up being bitten by her while he's trying to work on his experiments and all that. So he's immediately turned into a zombie, and then he's only in the first like 2-3 minutes of the film. There's a character named Dalton who was played by, I believe, a rapper named Sticky Fingers. And then I wrote down here, Zombie Sid is pretty cool. Like I said, seeing Sid Haig in anything is amazing. Rest in peace to him. Oh shit, where does this happen? Yeah, the restaurant. There's a restaurant where one of the main characters, Alexandra, who's nicknamed Nightingale, which I will get to that too. She's on a date with this guy named Jake, and it's not going very well. But the chef in the kitchen, or one of them at least, gets bitten by a homeless guy, and apparently nobody in the kitchen finds this concerning because they're taking it extremely casually, and they're even telling the customers, oh, the chef got bit by a homeless man, it's all good. Taking it like, happens every day. Homeless men just go around biting people, that's what they do. Apparently Alexandra is very used to zombies, though. She's dealt with them before, and she's basically skilled in zombie killing. Who would have thunk? So she's one of the main characters and one of the lead soldiers of this brigade that's hired by AMS to go to this university on this mission. There's a scene where a bunch of guys are at a gun range and they're shooting a poster of Paris Hilton, of course, just loaded with early 2000s tropes. This is a 2005 film, so you're gonna get plenty of that. There's a scene where one of the soldiers gets bit, and they're contemplating on killing him, but instead of killing him, one of the other soldiers takes a machete and just slices his arm right off. Against his will, they just pin him to the ground and they slice his arm right off. And apparently the pain is just mediocre, and they don't need any kind of medical attention at all. He doesn't bleed out or anything like that. However, he does still turn, so apparently they cut his arm off too late. So putting him through that agony was completely pointless because he turns into a zombie anyway. There's this scene in the library of the university that's absolutely ridiculous. There's a zombie sitting kind of still, and one thing they do with the zombies in this film is direct them very strangely. I find that all the zombies don't act the same. Like, some will be able to have, some sort of intelligence because they'll be able to motion. Like, there's one of the librarian zombies goes like this, like, as in to, like, silence everybody, so she, like, remembers what her job is like. Other zombies are able to, like, play dead on command kind of thing, like be really still and then just attack whenever they, like consciously attack kind of thing. And this one zombie is sitting down and his head is like hovering over a book, and the idiot soldier is like, oh, this is not my first rodeo. Zombies can't read, man. He's clearly alive. And then the other soldier is like, dude, are you dumb? But he approaches anyway, and then of course the zombie like jumps out of his book and starts attacking the soldier. I'm just like, at that point you deserve to die, buddy. We get some zombie tits in this one, which totally reminded me. The first thing I thought it was Resident Evil 2, the film. How you got those zombie strippers walking the streets, and you got some zombie tits in that film. Zombie tits is you get it occasionally in your grade B zombie films, but they're always fun. And then this guy named Bart ends up taking the dead girl zombie with her tits hanging and takes a selfie with her with the old school 2000s digital cameras. And I swear I thought she was, of course, going to bite his neck or bite his shoulder or something like that. I was just waiting for it. But she doesn't. He just talks about how he wants to stick it in her, and he's just afraid of what might happen. Yeah, probably. I don't know why your interest would be necrophilia anyway, but leave it to Bart. Like I said, weird zombie directing choice, but it is what it is. Again, huge tropes of early 2000s. There's posters everywhere that totally show what time period and era this film was made in. There's Static X posters. Used to love the band Static X. There's a Blade 3 poster advertisement, like when it was like just before coming to theaters. And there's all these little Easter eggs of like the mid 2000s that are just great to notice around, like while watching the film. I'd say the zombie design anyway, pretty average. And they also, I don't know what it is about a lot of zombie films and their the noises that they make. They sound like tigers in this one. Like they have these animalistic growls, and I'm like, I don't think that's really how zombies would sound. I don't know. I'm not familiar on zombies. I've never seen one, but um, they always make, or not always, but a lot of times in films, especially B films, they make the tigers sound like friggin' lions, or and I don't know. But they do it in this film, Hardcore, and I'd say they look average. Like they don't look terrible, but they also they could have used a lot more gruesome makeup on them, I would say, but they're good enough for what the film is. Like they offer enough zombiness, and you know they offer enough to the genre or subgenre that that's good enough, I guess. There's a scene of, I actually found this scene pretty cool because I didn't know what was going on really, but there's a scene with zombie electrocution where Alexandra and Ellis are hanging on these pipes, and Alexandra uses a lighter to have the sprinklers spray all the zombies down, and and then she rips a bunch of wires so that the wires can conduct the electricity towards the zombies and shock them all down. Now, I don't know if electricity would actually stop zombies because I don't think their like nervous system would really function that way. I'm not sure if electrocution on zombies would have much effect. That's just a guess, though. Also, they were soaked themselves, so there's no way that they wouldn't be fried themselves on those pipes and and not die. Like that did not make any sense. It was a cool scene and a cool idea because I've never really seen that kind of kill in a zombie film before. But logically, no, no, wouldn't work. Both on killing the zombies and not frying themselves, both don't make any sense. Now, Alexandra, she has a last name, Alexandra something. She has a nickname, Nightingale. She's nicknamed Nightingale, and she's telling Ellis on how she got this nickname. Now, apparently, how she got the experience with zombies is when she was a doctor in Africa, and there was an outbreak of this disease, and then when a vaccine came to be given to these sick people, they reanimated into zombies, and she had to mow down, hundreds of them with a machine gun or whatnot. And this really played a big effect, or really had a big effect on her psyche. But then she's like, yeah, that's where the nickname Nightingale started, and it just stuck. It was a sick joke. A nightingale is a bird. How that has any correlation to her killing a bunch of zombies and men, women, and children who were infected, why they would start calling her after a small little bird, I don't get it. That story didn't make any sense any logical sense to me either, but that happened, and apparently that's why people call her Nightingale, because she mowed down a bunch of zombies violently. House of the Dead 2. So they find the patient Zero, who, I don't know her name, but she was held captive by Professor Kurian, who's played by Sid Haig. And this girl is like completely decomposed. She's basically a skeleton at this point with hair. And they get in there, they try to get the sample. This bitch is strong as shit. For like a skeleton looking like she's 65 pounds, this girl puts on a fight and is stronger than pretty much every zombie that came before her throughout the film. It's really weird. But yeah, she's like throwing them around the room as if she's friggin' the Hulk. And and they eventually get it. There's an announcement that the university is going to be blown by a missile, so they have to get out at a certain amount of time. There's a plot point where Ellis leaves the Zero sample from patient Zero behind, so they have to go get it again. And of course, what else do you expect but them being like, oh, we got such little time, the missile's gonna drop in like 2 minutes, and then 15 minutes go by and they're just hanging out and taking it easy and chilling out. Just little plot points you just have to accept. Popcorn films, popcorn B films at their finest. Ellis uses one of the biggest zombie tropes in the world by covering himself with zombie blood and zombie guts so that they can't smell human and he can just maneuver around them, which they used in The Walking Dead, and they used in probably like 5 other zombie films that I can think of if I thought long enough. But Walking Dead comes to mind, season 1, episode 2 or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, that infamous scene. They do it again in this one. And yeah, and then the film kind of just ends that way. They do retrieve the blood sample from patient Zero, and they escape the university, and by now the infection has spread to the city, so the last scene is basically them driving over a bridge into a really, really badly done green screen CGI city on fire kind of thing. And then that's House of the Dead 2. A step up, well, a couple steps up from House of the Dead 1, like I said. But both are good to have. This one's definitely more comedic, bigger cast, more going on, a lot more going on with the zombies. If you like a zombie shoot 'em up, like this is a go-to if you could find it cheap, especially. All Guts, No Glory, and directed by Mike Hurst. I wouldn't say it's loaded with familiar faces other than Sid Haig. That's the only familiar one that I saw. But it's cool. It's a cool B-movie flick to throw on in the background, or you know, enjoy zombies being shot up. Basically, it delivers in what it needs to, if anything. So that's all I got on that. Subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice, or if you like my film reviews. I'll always be coming out with plenty more. Trying to always brainstorming on different ideas for the channel. I'm gonna, this is a channel where I'm gonna be reviewing all kinds of different types of films. B movies are one of my go-tos. I really like, checking B-movie banter is just one of the, things I like to play around with because I love B-movies, but I'm really going to try to see if I can get into a lot of foreign films. I've been doing some Criterion reviews, picking out some Criterion films that I want to review. And yeah, I'll be brainstorming a bunch, so there will be lots more coming. So until next time, take care and cheers.